guys and gals, welcome back to my show, Coffee with Lisa. So excited to have you here. So first of all, I would like to introduce Mel. And Mel is from Omical. Mel helps companies strive for brand loyalty when they only feel like they're falling on their face. Melanie is here to share with you the secret of achieving loyalty through brand experience and why this is really actually what makes or breaks a company's ability to achieve loyalty. She's worked in radio. She's worked as a video director. She's actually worked and helped the Navy with some of their customer-based training. And she's an adjunct professor teaching communication through multimedia. Melanie is the founder of Omical, omical.com. As well as I'd like to introduce Patricia Fripp. Patricia is a Hall of Fame professional keynote speaker, an executive speech coach, a sales presentation expert, and online training guru. We are excited to have her part of our Extra Credits faculty. So for some of you who don't know what Extra Credits is, it's an online platform that provides you professional training for your continuing education, your professional development credits. Patricia is one of those very rare individuals who is an amazing speaker who also has the ability to help you be an amazing speaker. So Patricia, during your career, you've delivered well over 3,000 speeches, and you've been at 40 years of the National Speakers Association. What is your secret to keep in demand?
1, you have to be flexible. 2, adapt. 3, listen to your clients. It is unrealistic to think when you are a successful keynote speaker, that I was for many, many years, that you are always going to be the hot new face. That isn't going to work. And luckily for me, because I had always invested in coaches and training to help perfect my speaking, when people's executives and my clients started asking me, 1, can you help our executives? The answer was yes. And then what was a real turning point when a national sales manager said, Patricia, I liked your speech, but I loved how you delivered it. Can you teach our salespeople to speak that way? Because it takes us a year to deliver an hour presentation to our target audience. It's worth $9 million a year if we get the business, and we're losing sales. It has nothing to do with our offering our price. It has to do with the fact that our key competitors give better presentations than we do. So listening to clients and realizing, and this is an important lesson that I learned from one of my financial clients I was coaching to deliver a presentation at the National Speakers Association. And in her speech, she said, we suffer from recency bias. This means whatever is most recent, we believe is going to continue. So when the phone is ringing off the hook, you imagine it'll always be that way, and it won't. And when business isn't good, that you're not getting any inquiries, the phone isn't ringing, you think, I'm out of business, I better get a day job. That isn't true either.
And Mel, would you believe that marketing has a big play in whether you're a professional speaker? I know Patricia always says there's no speaking, no private speaking. All speaking is public speaking, right, Patricia?
Yes.
And so, Mel, marketing would have a big play in that as well, right? How you position your voice, your brand. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. Your voice is your brand, and it's also about getting your message succinct and to the point. If somebody's inquiring about what you do and you can't get to that core message fast, you're subconsciously sending the message that you don't know what you say you do, or that you're a newbie and therefore you don't have the experience to help them go to the next level.
Excellent. So we're getting some people just joining us right now. We've got a few. So if anybody who in the live audience is interested and wants to share a question with us, please pose it in the chat area and we'll happily try to answer them as we come. If for some reason you're on the feed and your question does not get answered, I will make sure that Mel or Patricia get your question and answer to you directly. Please include your email so that we can reach out to you as well. Sometimes, we love Facebook and everything around it, but if we don't have an email, sometimes it makes it very difficult to get a hold of you. So please do, for those who are joining. Thank you, Jeff and Julia, for joining us. I really appreciate it. So one of the other questions that I wanted to ask, so Patricia, who's your mentor? Who's your, and people ask, we all have mentors. You're my mentor. I'd like to know who's yours.
Well, over the years, because we have to put this in the context, I would say I've had many, I wouldn't have called them mentors, but people that I learned from that influence me. Yeah. And it isn't just one, it's multiple. So when we're talking about speaking, obviously when I first went to the National Speakers Association, people who were established were people I looked up to and learned from and went to their seminars, etc. Yeah. And now what is an advantage is that there are so many individuals who can teach you. And certainly many of us have online learning programs, but we deliver webinars for free. We put our content on YouTube. So I would say I have learned from a lot in different areas because some individuals that teach you a lot. Now, certainly when it comes to social media and marketing and branding, Mel would be a mentor and we have a business relationship. Mm-hmm. And this is an important point because in the National Speakers Association, we are a very giving organization. Yeah. However, and I think specifically my friend Susan Rowan, who's a best-selling author, the amount of people say, can I buy your coffee? I want to pick your brain. Well, to talk about how you write a proposal, write a book, get it published is not an over coffee conversation. So I said, what you have to do is start a business, a consulting business, pick my brain. Coaching. So it's a matter of, I'm very willing to give people, look, I'll give you 10 minutes of advice, but I'm not going to help you to design a presentation unless we have a professional relationship. Yeah. So it's a matter of be appropriate. Yeah. Learn from a lot. And if a mentor relationship happens, it's more natural and organic because I have, and I'm sure we all do, dozens of people a year who I don't know who they are. I've never met them. Out of the blue, email me and say, will you be my mentor? And the answer is no. Yeah.
But I'll be your coach and I'll help you and guide you, right?
And, we have a Facebook group on powerful presentations and successful sales with Patricia Fripp that people can join, and they not only get ongoing regular short pieces of advice, the whole community. The idea is anyone interested in speaking, because as my brother Robert Fripp says, you can learn from people who know more than you. They do not have to be the best in the world. They just have to be more seasoned than you are at the moment.
And I've just shared, Patricia, just so you're aware, on our feed, the Facebook group that you have. So if those that are watching right now are interested in that Facebook group, you now have it on the feed, so you're more than welcome to go there. And many people would know that you have a VT system, and I'm just going to, if I know how to work this properly, I'm going to pull up.
Yes, because obviously there are, even if you had the money, there are times that it's not appropriate. A lot of people say, I want to hire you to do this. I say, well, you're such a novice. It wouldn't be the best use of your investment because I don't take people's money unless they're going to get it back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a matter of, you have to follow the process. So that's one of the reasons we designed the online learning. Once you've been through the core content, you know where to find your material, structure your presentation, improve your opening stories and connections with the audience, then you'll be better prepared so you maximize your investment. And that would be true with many of the skills that you have. It's a process.
Exactly.
You can't throw money and immediately be an expert.
Yeah.
It also teaches you how to ask the right questions, because otherwise, like you said, they're wasting their money trying to buy solo time with you when they're asking amateur questions that can be gotten for free from your Facebook group or from your, not necessarily for free from your VT, but they would learn how to, like you said, structure not only what they're about to present about, but structure their business and their mentality. So when they come to you, they have a fully formed and a fully thought out question that then leads to it benefiting you as well as them.
Yeah. Well, and really, I mean, Patricia, you talk all the time about how, you know, the first 30 seconds of a presentation, you know, that's what your words matter. And so obviously, you know, yes, you have all these tools and resources for people to access your expertise, but at the same time, if you don't have any structure or anything ready to actually start to deploy and actually apply the learning that you're giving, then what is the point, right? And you know, when people are professional speakers or they're looking to become professional speakers, they need to really sit down and structure and create what they believe is going to be, and then apply what they learned from you, from your Fripp VT. And so I'm just going to quickly show everybody your VT so that they know what it looks like and where they can get their free trial from you. So I'll just start that for a moment, and then we're going to come back. So that's the Fripp VT, so frippv.com, and you know, it's your first step to persuade, influence, and inspire. And so if you put all your information in there, you can have access to Patricia for a free trial to her VT system. And so Mel, online learning for professional speaking and building your business is really important in the sales funnel. And lots of professional speakers and experts and influencers don't have sales funnels. And I know that because I've worked with a number of experts who don't understand what a sales funnel is and how their marketing actually plays a big role, not only in the presentation, because it's one thing to step on stage and deliver a powerful, impactful presentation. It's another to profit from beyond the stage. So how does marketing play a big role in not only the presentation, but the after the fact?
It plays a huge role in the entire process, both before, during, and after. It's about being able to say your message in a way that you give them just enough that they can take action immediately, but not enough that they feel confident enough that they can do everything you talked about by themselves, that they want help beyond a certain point. And that's one of the ways that Patricia works with you, is when you structure your speech, it's how do you give them enough that they understand, they're willing to embrace, they're inspired to take action, they do, and then they also reach out to you. So what is the follow-up? What is the complementary? And make sure as a part of your sales funnel, you follow up with them. I think the latest is 90% of business professionals do not follow up with prospects or even alliances.
Yeah.
If 90% is following up, automate it.
Yeah.
If that's your weakest point, automate it. It's better to have something go out than to let it go cold turkey.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes it very difficult to actually go back to them. And then you have to talk to Patricia about what is the first 30 seconds that you're going to say so that it makes sense, so that when you're doing your sales presentation and your follow-up, that they're actually going to listen to you.
It's the first and the last 30 seconds, because your last 30 seconds are what they remember. Patricia's line is your last words linger. And you want those last words to linger in their mind, whether it be driving them to take action, whether it be driving them to look at what they're doing. Let your last words linger in their mind. You want to have, my clients tell me all the time that they get a mini Mel that sits on their shoulder, and I
have
go to
Fripp and Mel on my shoulder. on all and sometimes Fripp even does the don't use the word stuff, Lisa.
I hear that all the time about the stuff part, but the mini Mel and the smack it upside the head, and I'm like, I don't beat my clients.
Absolutely. So Patricia, Mel's talking about your last words linger. And so you're well known for your opening line techniques and your closing lines. So what's your advice on the opening and the closing?
Well, it depends what circumstance you're in, because as you say, all speaking is public speaking. So are you in a networking event? Are you having a conversation with a prospect? Are you following up with a client? Is this a presentation, a staff meeting? Or just a meeting with your boss that you're reporting to. It's all public speaking. So as a general rule, what I would say is that many individuals, and I'm talking up to CEOs that are speaking to 3,000 customers at the user meetings, they think through what they are going to say. They do not think, how am I going to open the conversation of the presentation? So I'm challenging everybody to think through, once you've thought, what's the purpose for the meeting of the speech? What am I going to say? What content's going in? Just script your opening. It can be 2 lines. So, for example, a lot of my clients who just report to their bosses, and what do they want to know? What's the bottom line? Good morning, Mel. The purpose of this meeting is to update you with. Get to the point fast. Now, if you're going to start a staff meeting, it could be as simple as, welcome to our January the 15th Monday morning meeting. And as of this meeting, we are going to take a different approach. So, so many people say, hey guys, come in, get a donut. Now let's look at our agenda. No, start off strong.
Yeah.
And with the presentation, of course, you got so many options. It can be a question, a rhetorical question, a story, a quote. It could be, there are multiple ways.
Well, and
sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Go ahead, Mel.
I was going to say, to build off of that, Patricia mentioned, know your audience and know the intention of why you're there. How many people go to a networking function and the very first thing out of their mouth to a new person is, so what do you think about the weather? Yeah. What does that say about you as a professional or your business, that you have time to sit outside and go, oh, look, it's sunny today. It's great.
Well, I know that you talk lots about Susan Rohan, and I've read some of Susan's, expertise, some of her, her blog articles and what have you. And I know that one of the things that you do, and you do very well, Patricia, is you take an advocate with you in a meeting, and you talk about that very often about having, the tag team approach, or, I don't believe that that's what you call it exactly, but that's what I like to call it. Explain what that is exactly, so people who are watching understand when they are at network meetings, how do they make an impact in a room?
It's a technique that Susan Rohan and I did naturally, and we got so much feedback. So, for example, she was on a radio show, and she talked about me, and in the commercial break, the host said, Patricia Fripp was on my show a few months ago, and she talked about you. And we realized that we talked about each other. And when we went out naturally, we'd introduce each other. And we realized so many people don't do this naturally. We have to teach them. And we came up with a technique called travel with your own PR agent. And so it would be a matter, and I have done this when I just found myself at professional events with other of my friends. And they always say afterwards, I am never going to an event without doing what I saw you do. And it's a matter of, so for example, if I walked up to you at an event, Lisa, and I was chatting, and then Mel walked up, what you have to do, and this is, you have to be aware, because we have turned into badly behaved individuals. You see, if a couple is making eye contact, you can tell if it is not appropriate to join the conversation. But if they're obviously engaged, it's appropriate to come up and wait there until they open the circle. And do not say, oh, in other words, I don't know you, but can you take a photograph of me with Mel? Because I've always wanted to meet her. And I turn around and say, happy to have your photograph. It's not appropriate at the moment. People, it drives me crazy. Anyway, so the third person comes in and I would say, Lisa, may I introduce to you my friend and colleague and secret weapon, Mel. She is an expert at branding and helping ambitious professionals communicate who they are to the world before they meet them. And she not only helps speakers and professionals and companies, she is a great speaker herself and was a past president of the National Speakers Association in her state. So it's a matter of what you do, you say about each other what you wouldn't do in polite conversation. I would say about Susan Rowan, may I introduce my friend? She's a best-selling author of 5 books, been on the front cover of USA Today and the Wall Street Journal. She's even been in Playboy. To which Susan says, yes, but not as a centerfold. Now, you have to become an object of interest to the people you talk to. So in speeches, I say, we need to speak to be remembered and repeated.
Yeah.
What we do is one-on-one, say something interesting. So when the people you meet go to work, what'd you do yesterday? Went to the Chamber of Commerce. Oh, was it good? Yes. Great food, good speaker, met interesting people. Oh, who'd you meet? Do you know I met a branding expert? Do you know I met a best-selling author? They repeat the stories of meeting us.
Yeah.
Because with sales presentations, with audiences, and at networking events, and then I want Mel to tell us how you do it with branding and marketing, you speak to the audience of your audience.
Yeah.
What do the people who are your audience, 1, 5, 50, or 500, what did they hear? What do they see? What amuses them? That they talk to someone, you're not going to believe what I heard, or you're not going to believe who I met. So Mel, how do you do that with your marketing and branding?
So first of all, what makes what you do so powerful when you tag team networking functions, or even in a webinar situation like this, when you talk about me, that is testimony. That is pure power. When I talk about me, it's promotion.
Yeah.
And that's the huge difference that a lot of times professionals forget about. They get so excited and so passionate about everything that they do that they just want to blah.
Yeah.
But they forget that when you do the blah, it's promotion. But if you can get a Lisa or a Patricia to talk about you, then it's this powerhouse of testimony that makes me irresistible in your eyes.
Well, and it's how you get remembered and repeated when you're at those events, because now all of a sudden you've got your biggest advocate and it's not you singing your song, it's somebody else singing your song. And that's really important. And I think a lot of people, and it doesn't really matter, you don't have to be a salesperson in order to be a professional who's running a sales cycle. Because everything is about sales. And it doesn't matter if you are in a network marketing business, if you're an accountant, if you're a lawyer, you're an engineer, or you are a car salesman. Everything is about you. You're always selling yourself. Always.
Everything is about sales, but no one wants to be sold to.
Yeah.
They want to be a part of the conversation. So no matter how you're talking about your business or the value that you provide, it's about stepping out of your own shoes, your own body, and into theirs to help understand what they're going through and what is of value to them. You know your business so well that you want to throw out all these buzzwords and all these fancy phrases, but that only makes you more intimidating to them.
Yeah, you want it to be very conversational.
Yes.
And, we talk about, like you said, Patricia, bringing your advocate with you and that tag team approach that I like to call it that. The other thing too that's really important when you are trying to build yourself as an influencer and to grow your business or your personal speaking brand or what have you, is aligning yourself with other experts so that you can grow a team. And Extra Credits does that very well because, we have Patricia and, hopefully one day we're going to have Mel as part of our team. And it's a collaborative approach to help others to become better at what they do, but it also helps our businesses at the same time, right? And so Mel, one of the things that's really important, I think, in social media today is the influencer strategy, and Patricia's an influencer, obviously. Not only with her Facebook group, but with her Fripp VT, she uses hashtags. She uses the hashtag Fripp VT. You use hashtags. We use the hashtag Extra Credits. How important in building your business, whether it is a professional speaking brand or it's, you're an MLM and you own Secret, for instance, and you're a Secret distributor. How important are hashtags in business, and what is the value behind them truly, and how do you use them?
So first of all, it depends on what platform you're on.
Okay.
So for example, all of the platforms accept hashtags, but how hashtags are viewed and used on each platform is a little different.
Right.
On Facebook, yes, you can use them, but Facebook is more conversational. So think of it this way. If you're sitting at your local coffee shop, meeting with Patricia, and you guys are having this conversation where she talks a little, you talk a little, she talks a little, and you talk a little. When she talks a little, you're not going to respond with hashtag that's awesome. So it's almost inappropriate on Facebook, but you can use them. So on Facebook, use them, but use them sparingly and where it's going to accentuate whatever it is you're saying.
Yeah.
On the flip side, on Instagram loves hashtag soup. Loves, 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 loves. They actually recommend 15 plus hashtags per post. That's exactly my view, Patricia. I'm like, that is crazy. And I just did an interview with about 5 different professional speakers on their specific Instagram strategy. And it's amazing how some of the speakers love hashtags and others, I refuse to use them. But it's all about their strategy and the results they're looking to get. So understand the technology platform, but make sure you have a strategy that helps you decide when, if, and how to use them.
Yeah.
For Patricia's strategy, and also with Extra Credit strategy, having the hashtag makes sense. It's a part of the overall business strategy. It's not some random tactic that we implement because we're told we have to do it.
Yeah. And so the other thing too that's really interesting is how do you position your hashtag from the stage, Patricia? Because oftentimes as a professional speaker, when you're speaking, you're not allowed to promote who you are. It's about adding value and what the audience needs, not what you need. So how do you position a hashtag appropriately as a speaker from the stage?
Well, there are 2 ways. One, when you have what I would call a frippicism, on the PowerPoint slide itself, I will, and again, sparingly, hashtag FrippVT at PFripp. I'll have that on the top title with a quote in between. And then every so often, and this depends a lot when I'll deliver a punchline, what it might be a frippicism. It could be to be interesting, you have to be interested. And often you'll see people, oh, and write it down. I'll say, that sounds like a tweetable quote, hashtag Fripp VT at PFripp. So again, and you have to deliver the line that it is easy for them to do. So it's a matter of you pause, deliver the punchline, wait for the response and say, hashtag Fripp VT at PFripp.
Now to build sparingly, and also this is where, and we've even seen this with Patricia's presentations and her audience, not everyone in her audience truly understands social media. So you have to take into account that they will misuse a hashtag and an @ thinking they're interchangeable. They mean different, they have different meanings. So that's why it's important to have it on your slide. One way that I use it in my presentations is I've discovered there's one section of my presentation that people love to take pictures of. So on this particular slide, I intentionally make it busy so all of the information is visible, and I have my handle in the upper corner, and I have my logo. So it becomes this branded meme that they take a picture of, and then I follow up using Patricia's line, "You're welcome to tweet this or post this on social media."
So let me ask you something. Do you add hashtags to stories? When you're creating a story on social media in your feeds, do you add a hashtag? And then I want to talk a little bit. No, okay. So Patricia, when you're presenting your stories, because stories are a really effective way to engage an audience and to build rapport and trust with an audience. And I know you have one particular course about storytelling on our extracredits.com and on your VT that people can take to how to deliver stories and create powerful stories. How important is it to create a story that makes people engaged, and how do you do it?
You have to populate your story with flesh and blood characters that people can relate to. And ideally, whether it's a speech or whether it is a sales presentation, you use stories that somehow the audience, especially in a sales presentation, can see themselves in the story. Now, many speakers tell stories about themselves. And what we have to do to make an emotional connection is bring the audience into our story. So you could say, if we had met in 1966 when I first moved to San Francisco, so I'm bringing them into, or if you've ever attended a National Speakers Association convention, or if you have been lucky enough to meet Lisa Patrick at the International Coaching Federation booth, you will remember we were the ones who wore the hats. So I'm painting a picture, but you can invite people in. And so that's making an emotional connection. Give your characters a backstory so we can see them, because we use words to communicate.
Yeah.
However, an audience or an individual remembers the pictures that you create when you paint the scene. And it's a matter of how do you deliver information in a way that people can digest it.
Yeah.
And it's a formula I've not heard anyone talk about, but it was when, where, who, what happens. Because normally and it's even with sentences. So you might say, I went to a meeting of the National Speakers Association and I heard Mel talk about branding last month. No, what's the punchline? It was branding. So you might say, last month, when? I attended a National Speakers Association convention. Where? I heard Melanie DePaoli, the expert in branding and social media, deliver a presentation on. And so it's what Mel talked about is the impact phrase. In comedy, it would be the punch phrase. So you put information so it's logical as well as emotional, and it helps people remember.
So to explain, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, I don't want to step on you, but one question that I bet some of your listeners and the people that watch the replay are thinking: should you do your own social media, or you should have someone do it
For you.
So whatever Mel was going to say next, and then I think that, because that is a conversation, because we all get confused. I'm supposed to this, and this. How can I even make a living keeping up with social media, to say nothing? Follow up with leads fast. Create great speech people want to hear.
Well, the other thing too is Mel, is people think that if you have 1,000 likes on your page, likes, oh my, I'm going to get a quick return on my investment. But that's not necessarily the case, is it? And so explain a little bit so people understand the value of what a like is and how do you get an ROI from them.
I will do that in just 1 second. Let me explain why we don't want to use a hashtag for a story. If Patricia is telling that story on stage, and she hashtags it Mel Branding. Well, that is fabulous for me. She's the one on stage. She's the one who's the expert. We've immediately taken the power away from her and put it on somebody else or something else that potentially is not even in the room. So it is better for her. Now, if her permanent hashtag is hashtag Mel Branding, which it will never be, then that is fine. Then that is something she can continually use. But that's why her hashtag is hashtag FrippVT, no matter whether she's telling a story, she's promoting FrippVT, or she's sharing a Frippicism. If it's Patricia Fripp related, it's hashtag FrippVT.
Yeah.
Make it easy for your customers to remember you, and make it easy for your next best client to find you.
Yeah, and it's just like with extra credits. Although Patricia and I have a direct relationship with extra credits, and we do use Patricia's FrippVT hashtag, we also use the extra credits hashtag. And it's about creating an influence and a growing collaborative approach, and it's appropriate then, but it wouldn't be appropriate if I was on stage talking about how to get action and doing a presentation on how to be more actionable in your business, and then I used FrippVT. That wouldn't be appropriate at that moment in time. Absolutely. So I think the audience really needs to understand about the value of their hashtag specific to their brand, their business, what they do versus the team that they work with or the partnerships that they have. Correct?
Yes, exactly. And you can, and we do this with both FrippVT and extra credits, we can use the hashtags in tandem. Because over time, the search engines begin to learn that hashtag extra credits and hashtag FrippVT are associated with each other. Yeah. So it builds both brands, conveys both messages, and continues to link the profiles together. But we don't do it on every post, and we don't do it every day. It's when it's relevant. Yeah. And back to your point about the value of a like, it's so easy to be seduced by numbers. I will tell you up front, numbers never lie, but they also don't tell the whole truth. What are your goals with social media? Even before you establish your social media goals, what are your overall business goals? Because your business goals should be driving your social media goals. And what is the value of a like? If you get 1,000 likes on that cute kitty video that you shared, fabulous. It boosts your ego and makes you temporarily feel better, but does it drive business? Does it drive somebody or inspire somebody to pick up the phone and call you? If it does, then you should be sharing more kitty videos. But if not, accept that this is a one-time instance and share other more relevant content. I have one client that I work with, and if you were to look at her social media stats, they are abysmal. They look awful. It looks like she has no audience and nobody likes her.
Yeah.
However, what you don't see on social media is almost every time she sends out a social media post, somebody picks up the phone and calls her. She's either getting an interview to be interviewed on a show like Coffee with Lisa, she's landing a new client, or something to that effect, almost every time. But those don't come up in social media analytics. They come up in how she tracks her business analytics.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily going to be shown on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn.
That's a very, very good point, because I think too a lot of people are misinterpreted by who the expert is, because the expert is saying I am the expert, although they're not correct. They don't have the authority to say I'm the #1 expert in the world, or I have 250,000 likes on Facebook, but 249,000 of them are not relevant, or they've been bought. And there's a lot of that goes on as well in social media.
What you're talking about there is called linking farms, and this is actually, it has been going on, and it's actually getting worse, particularly on Facebook. There's about 83 million fake accounts, and you should never pay for people to like your business page, because almost all of them are fake likes. And there's also fake likes that are going for boosted posts as well. It's about engagement. Liking is lazy.
Yeah. It's about creating a conversation. And we know currently right now, Facebook is changing their algorithm and staying true to who they are. It's about talking to one another. It's about having conversations. It's about the association with each other, not necessarily, it's commenting, engaging, right? And LinkedIn is that way as well, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things too that's really important when we have our conversations is, again, back to the stories, right? Creating stories, that inspire people or that create an emotion, because emotion will sell something long before a direct sell will sell something. Correct, Patricia? Oh, can't hear you.
Yes. Well, I turned my microphone off when I coughed. I'm getting over a cold.
Well, I have to.
I'd like to tell you now, this isn't really an emotional story, but it's a cute story, which I would like to lead into what I'd love to be reminded what Mel does for her clients. I met Mel because she had attended an event I was speaking at, got pally with Michael Haig, who's the story consultant for Will Smith and Hollywood. And he said to me, you have got to meet this amazing, brilliant young woman. She's so smart. And then lucky for me, I got to speak in Seattle soon after, and we had dinner. And I said, now I know why you're even smarter than he said you were. So that's how when I hired her. But I was delivering a program for our local chapter, our academy program. We had, that obviously the promo was good. We had 175 people in the audience, which was a record. And I was schmoozing the crowd. And this is a technique I've always used. It's what I call be your own warm-up act. Before it officially starts, you've got an audience, you've got a microphone, and you schmooze with them. And I say, well, what's it, why are you excited about being here? And someone said, oh, well, what was most exciting? You retweeted my tweet yesterday afternoon about me coming here. Well, I knew I was far too busy preparing for the seminar to be tweeting and retweeting. And then later I was behind a banner waiting to be reintroduced. And Mel, who was tweeting for me for this occasion, and someone came up and they said, okay, I'll believe you may have retweeted that wise quote, but I know you didn't make a comment just now because I saw you standing behind the banner. So Mel, why don't you tell our listeners what you do for me, example, and then for other people, because we are busy, and if you want to be as visible as you need to be, it isn't that you don't do it yourself, but you have to have a vehicle where you are constantly working when you don't have time to. So Mel, what do you do for me and others?
So what I do specifically for Patricia is, and for all of my clients, is I help them understand that it takes a team to manage social media. And in the team concept, it's not that Patricia does not know how to use the different platforms. She does, and she gets regular training on it. The thing is we use it together. I'll develop the strategy and the plan, and then sometimes I'll find articles for her to comment on. I'll send them over to her, so I help keep her focused so she doesn't get lost in the sea that is social media. And I recommend that you do this in your business as well, is think in the terms of a team concept. You never want somebody to completely control your online brand. Patricia will tell you that if I'm having a conversation with somebody on her behalf online, she gets a text. This is who I'm talking to. This is what we're talking about. I never want her to be surprised and have somebody come up to her and continue an online conversation in person, and Patricia be like, I've got no idea who you are or what you're talking about.
Well, and that's really important because, no matter who you're working for, or you're looking for the right branding expert or the social media expert, that's a very valid question that you should be asking that expert. Is that a protocol that they use when working with you as a client? It's as much about, doing the interview of what do you have to offer as what you also need as the expert or as the client, right?
Exactly. And also think about it from the expert perspective. If somebody's coming up to you, regardless of what your expertise is, and they're complimenting you on your online presence, and you follow that up with, oh, I hate social media, or I just suck at social media, I don't understand any of it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well then that's not you, and you don't know what I've been reading about you. It creates a disconnect. It's a conversation stopper instead of a conversation starter. And that's exactly what the like button is as well.
So for those of you out there who are interested in learning more from Mel, Patricia, or from myself, I just showed recently a slide. Let me pull that back up again, where you can get some information from the three of us. And we talked about when we promoted this, that there were some free complimentary resources from Patricia and from Mel. And Patricia is world renowned for her Fripp speech model, and it's about how to create and deliver powerful presentations, and as well as open with impact, close on a high, and how does that work? So if you log in and give us your address and your name, we'll happily provide you with some of these free resources. Mel also has social media strategy, the 5 whys to your success, and how to create your customer avatar. And so we've talked a little bit about the customer avatar and know who your client is. Patricia talked about know who your audience is when you're delivering, so that you're powerful and you make impact and you close on a high and you'll be remembered. As well as for those of you who are interested, knowing who your followers really are. So one of the things that Extra Credits does is helps position people like Patricia in audiences who must take continuing education. And so those particular audience, you really need to understand. Patricia knows very well who her followers are and how can she help them and support them. And so we also have that as well for a resource. I want to just end the show with a story about Patricia. And so, of course, she talked a little bit about the International Coaching Federation and that her and I were there helping coaches, create and deliver powerful presentations and earn their continuing coaching education credits at the same time, obviously. And we happened to go to the zoo, and there was an elephant at the zoo. And we were talking about all the different stories many years ago when Patricia was presenting.
You cannot tell this story.
No, I can't. I'm not allowed. So they're going to have to contact you to find out the story about the elephant.
I'm not even sure I know this story.
It's let's just say it's one of these interesting situations that happens when you're a keynote speaker, and I had totally forgotten about this, hadn't told it in years until Lisa and I were there looking at the elephants. So you want me to give a snapshot?
Well, sure. And one of the things that I want people to really be aware of is find your treasure trove of content. And
yes.
There was a moment that was your treasure trove of content. And so Patricia has a course on that about find your treasure trove of content. You can get it at Extra Credits, or you can get it at Fripp VT. But I was like, this is a moment of your treasure trove. And so I'll leave you close with that, Patricia.
I was speaking for, well, it was let's just say it was a big company. Their national sales meeting. I don't know if there are about 800 people in the room. And this company was known at their conferences to have very innovative openings. And the Speakers Bureau, who always handled the speakers, was there sitting in the second row. And their theme was about evolution. And this is going back decades before we had all the technology we have now. And the speaker was talking to the screen, which was his grandfather, which of course was him recorded. And part of this evolution, they brought on a fully grown African elephant who walked through. Fortunately, the hotel had put down a tarpaulin, because if you can imagine what an African elephant might do, and when I say both, you know exactly what I mean. And of course, everybody dare not laugh until the president of the company did. And then when he laughed hysterically, the entire room did. But that was one of my warm-up acts. Fortunately, there was a break between that opening and my speech. And I would think it would be worse for the MC than it was for me to follow. But yeah, that was memorable. And there are very few occasions in fact, there are no occasions I would tell that in a speech, except perhaps a National Speakers Association chapter.
He told me this story, and I love elephants, and I love the meaning behind elephants. I love them as an animal, and she was like that. That story will resonate with me as much as the first time I met you, Patricia. And we'll save that for another day for that story.
Okay.
But if you were to give advice to your younger self, Patricia, what would it be?
Understand technology faster. And 2, in a perfect world, get all the help I have now, probably 15 years earlier. Of course, a lot of the help that I need Mel for, 15 years ago, it wasn't available. So I would say, I'm glad I said, Mel, can you help me build my brilliance? And this is my advice for any ambitious small business person. What is your goal? My goal has never been to build an empire. My goal has always been to make a comfortable living with a small team. Now, of course, you can actually have high caliber individuals on your team. You couldn't afford to hire them, but many of the individuals, they're in business for themselves, so you buy a chunk of their time. And that is why you get the best advice you can afford, because they work for themselves. And for anyone who has ever had an employee in their pension plan and leave, so this is it. Don't have anyone, when you get to a certain stage of your business, that, you know, you want to be what my brother would call a small mobile intelligent unit. You want to keep small, but you want to have the impression of a much bigger business, and you do this by hiring experts who are in business for themselves, like Mel and the other individuals, and then partnering with other businesses just like you and I do, Lisa. So we expand the impact of what we do, the reach of what we do, and you don't have to have 16 people come to your office every day.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think, and being mobile, like in today's day and age, having your business mobile to be able to adapt to what the circumstances are or what the audience requires of you at that time is really important as well. And Mel, if you were to give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
The advice to my younger self would be, don't take no's so personally. You have a vision, be open to feedback, but keep moving forward. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant way to close. It's a brilliant way to close. Welcome to join my group, Brilliant Branding. So yes, Brilliant Branding. And soon Extra Credits will have our own group, as well as lisapatrick.ca will have our own group. We've just recently launched our brokerage. And so continuing education, if you're looking to position your expertise, you're a coach, you're a trainer, you're a mentor, you're a seminar leader, come to Extra Credits and we'll talk about how I've helped Patricia, how we've helped other experts like Dr. Tony Alessandra. Currently right now we're just speaking, and I can't say who it is yet, but we're bringing on another brand expert who is a leadership expert, and she talks very much about her experiences on how in the corporate world she had to learn the hard way to become mobile with her business, and that's what exploded her business, is when she became mobile with her business. So very good. Well, thank you ladies very much. That ends the Coffee with Lisa show. Again, please come to the Squeeze page information where you can get the free resources, as well as there's Mel's social media strategy, how to create a customer avatar, Patricia's how to create a memorable presentation, of course, the world-known hashtag Fripp speech model, and get your downloads there. And soon we will have the Coffee with Lisa episode up on YouTube, as well as in the feeds of Patricia and Mel at omical and frippvt.com. Thank you very much, and this concludes our presentation for how to create and deliver powerful presentations on the Coffee with Lisa show. Bye for now, everybody. Bye. We'll check the comments.